Welcome back to the Hempthorne Media Podcast. If you haven't already, give it a subscribe. What I want this podcast to be is just talking to humans that are everyday creatives, whether that is filmmakers, musicians, people making stuff out of clay. I don't care. If you're doing that full-time or part-time or want to take it full-time, wherever you land in that kind of area, that's what I'm excited about. Like, just people trying to get to that next level and kind of build the life they want to live. Yes. Brings me to my next guest, Chris Daly, who is a mentor of mine. He helped me get into wedding filmmaking. He is a dad of 3, a full-time firefighter, and somehow still finds time to have a very successful wedding business. So he is, in a nutshell, doing it all. Really enjoyed this podcast with Chris. I can't wait for you to check it out. His drink of choice, or at least the one he recommended for this week, was the Caipirinha. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It is, I believe, the national drink of Brazil. Pro tip, it is made with cachaça. If you go to a liquor store, do not call it cachaca. You will look like an idiot. I definitely did that. So without further ado, here is the recipe for the Caipirinha. First, start off with 1 lime. Remember to roll your limes. You get more juice that way. Cut off both ends of your lime and go ahead and just spin it around, and you're going to cut off the edges. This will reduce the bitterness in the drink. Speaking of bitterness, we're going to cut out this little middle section right here. Again, reduce the bitterness. From there, you have these 2 nice sections, and we're going to cut them up into thirds or fourths. It doesn't really matter. But there you have it. There is your full lime chunks. Add that into your mixer. Then add a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of sugar, depending on how sweet you want this drink to taste, and give it a light muddle. Do not over muddle. You know the drill. From there, take a big chunk of ice, and we are going to add this into our Lewis bag. And from here, just give it a nice light smacking. After that, just continue to crush the light ice, and you'll get something like this. Nice. From there, add it into your mixer, which brings us to our secret ingredient, cachaça from Brazil. This stuff is absolutely bomb. Check it out. Add 2 ounces of your cachaça to your mixer and give it a good 10 to 15 second shake. Nice. Add it to your glass. Don't forget the lime. Top it off with that beautiful crushed ice, and bam, the Caipirinha. Enjoy. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, my friend.
Oh, come on. I'm very excited about this one.
I'm nervous.
I got a disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Never made one.
Sure.
Or I made one yesterday.
How'd that go?
I made it for my dad, and he hated it.
Well, dads hate everything.
But I think I made it really bad. I found a better approach, and I hope it doesn't suck.
What did you do different?
I shook it.
That's it. That's super secret.
That's
all
the
right,
same
I
stuff.
like it. Well,
All right,
let's
cheers,
see.
buddy.
Delicious.
Fantastic.
Delicious.
That's good. Okay,
It was very good.
I have no bar though. You've had these
Delicious.
in
You
Brazil.
didn't mess it up.
Okay,
I think more sugar, maybe.
more sugar. Okay,
More sugar, maybe.
I'm glad you brought that up. Some recipes said 2 teaspoons.
I couldn't tell you.
One looked like the most looked like a tablespoon.
Yeah.
Some were a sugar cube and simple syrup.
Okay.
The recipe I based this off of, it looked like he used 2 tablespoons, but it was 1 spoonful.
So he set you up to fail.
But it looked like a big spoon.
They almost taste sugary, I think.
Okay.
At least from what I remember. And then
That is still refreshing.
the more you had, the less I remember. So
I only had 1 or 12.
I woke up somewhere. I don't know where.
It's still
Delicious.
good. That's
Yes.
not bad.
We need to be on a beach, though.
So if we reload, we'll try
More sugar.
Dude, a tablespoon looks like a lot of sugar.
Well, it is a lot.
It's in a small glass. So like 2 tablespoons, I'm like, that can't be
that's your weekly intake, probably.
But if you, right. And if you use like, I don't know, like if you use like sweet and sour mix, how much sugar's in that?
No one knows.
You know?
No one knows.
So you actually had these in Brazil.
In Brazil, yes. I had no idea what it was.
And that
before.
wasn't your honeymoon, right? You just went because you're cool like that?
That was, got a real job and had enough money to go with two of my college friends. We were like, let's go somewhere. We're world travelers, whatever. And so we picked South America for like a month.
Wait, what?
Yes.
You went for like a month?
A month.
Without your lovely wife?
Was
this pre-wife?
I may have met her, my wife.
You met her in Brazil?
But we were not. I ordered her.
Hey!
No, I think we had seen each other at the climbing gym, but I don't know if we really talked.
You met at a climbing gym?
climbing
That's
gym,
a
yeah.
cool story.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Could be worse.
Could be worse. Could have met in art class. Totally not where I met my wife.
I was the model.
Yeah, I was the human clay. So you're in Brazil with how many friends?
Just two of my friends, my fraternity brothers.
Of course.
Yes. So we, it was a month. We flew into Rio and were there like a week, and then we went to Patagonia camping for like 2 weeks, and then went to Argentina, and then flew out of Argentina. But it was in the hostels of Rio that they said, they're like, this is the drink you need to have. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. It's like their nation's, I don't know, drink.
I think it's the national drink.
Have we said what it is?
I'm scared to pronounce it.
I am too.
Go for it.
Caipirinha, I think.
That
could be wrong.
You said it better than I ever could. And
we've lost all the health enthusiasts with how much sugar. Now we've lost all the Brazilians. They'd be like, you butchered the name of this.
Here's the bottle.
Cachaça.
And yeah, so I appropriately went to Total Wine and said, do you have any cachaca? They looked at me like,
yes,
you're very white, and it's called cachaça.
And they gave you the most expensive bottle.
This is the only one. This is the only one they had. And after further research, apparently this is like the brand from Brazil.
Whoa.
They got a little tree on there. They help rebuild the rainforest. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
So
you're giving back.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Come on, you're giving back.
Well, you did well.
I hope so. I'm eager to try because that doesn't suck. 2 tablespoons of sugar because that'll probably be
Perfect.
that'll make my dad love it and accept me.
Yes. Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
So,
do they ever?
Sorry if I glazed over it. What were you exactly doing in Brazil? Mission work? Just vacationing? Were you building houses for the poor?
We were on a mission, but it wasn't for charity.
Sounds awesome.
No, it's just like I said. We went there for like a week just to go somewhere cool, and then we went to Patagonia to go camping, I guess, and hike the W Trail is what it's the famous one, I guess, down there. And so that was like 2 weeks out there, and then just went back to Argentina for another week, and then peaced out.
Just had a good time.
Just a boys trip. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've never done anything like that.
It was awesome. It was great. It was a lot of stories. I lost like my credit card, everything. I think I lost my credit card before we even got to the airport. And then when we got to the airport there, I pulled out money, but I forgot to take my backup card back out of the machine.
Before we ever left the country.
Before we ever left the airport of Rio.
As one does.
So yes. I had no card, nothing. And they said there was something. They like sent me some temporary thing that I had to get, but I had to have Wi-Fi to call them to tell them I was going to use it. And I had to use it within 30 minutes because it was like flagged since I was like out of the country. So every time I had to use it was a nightmare.
It was a whole thing.
My the first place we went in Rio, we had a hostel booked that my buddy booked, and we showed up. We showed up for it. He's like, "Oh, I'm Josh Tomlinson. I hear I have a reservation." Like, we don't see Josh Tomlinson. And they go look, and he booked for the next year, a whole year out. So we went in 2011.
Yeah,
and so 2012 was our actual. And then so they had no rooms available.
Gotcha.
For the year
so you're
we
like
were in.
Mid-20s, just living it up.
Yeah. So just got hired and got a real job and nothing else to do, I guess.
Was it directly after you started firefighting after that?
It was probably like the same year.
All right. Yeah. That's what I want to get into, too, because you're a badass videographer, for those who don't know.
And a terrible firefighter.
And a terrible father. Videographer, firefighter, dad. I don't know how you do it all. And
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. How was it? Firefighting first, videography first. How do those two correlate?
Yeah, it was.
Yes,
it was most definitely firefighting first.
Okay.
I grew up. My dad was a firefighter. He was fire chief, and so I just grew up as a kid, hanging around the firehouse. with all his friends and everything. There was actually
That's cool.
my mom used to work. She worked at a factory, so she'd work like an overnight shift from midnight till whatever. And I remember my dad when he was like kind of a chief, so he wouldn't have to be there 24 hours. He'd have normal office hours, but if he got paid, if there's a fire, he'd have to go. So my mom would be working, and you couldn't get a babysitter, so I would just go sleep on his truck or sleep on the fire truck while they were out.
That's like a 5-year-old's dream.
Yeah.
Like I had to sleep.
Not when you're sleeping.
Yeah, it was your actual.
Wake up now.
It's your actual life. But like when you're growing up as a kid, like firefighters like the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe you have a different perspective.
I always thought it was cool, and I always thought it was like, well, this isn't like a real job. Like that felt like
Really?
work, and
It's
know,
just
the
what Dad
brotherhood.
did.
It was cool, and going to an office or doing something like that never like appealed to me. It just seemed like that was always a good way to make a living and
Yeah.
a way to help, obviously. And there was never really any question of what I was gonna do. I was either wanted to be a cop or a firefighter or a baseball player, and baseball player wasn't working. And my dad was like, if you're a cop, and much respect all the cops, but he's like, whenever you're called, everyone hates you. You're ruining their day. They're lying to you. It's not,
He's
like,
like-
firefighter. Everybody loves you in there. I'm like, that's perfect.
He's like, not to talk shit on cops, but here I go.
And he probably knew a little bit about me being his son and all, but it's like, I'd be a terrible cop. So
He was like,
I'd
no.
be like, you just robbed that old lady. Just don't do it again.
Well,
That's
firefighters do kind of have that stigma. Like it was last Easter. Yeah, just this past Easter, we thought we had like a gas leak in our house. Like we woke up, I thought we like smelled something, whatever. We were freaked out. It was our alarms were going off.
Mhm.
So we called the fire department.
Like CO or your actual?
We didn't know. So we thought it was like carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
We're like, we're about to die. And we thought we felt woozy, but we were just sleepy.
One stuff. Got headaches. Someone's vomiting.
We were like overthinking. Like, do you feel off? I'm like, I do feel off. Like,
Just a little.
But we'd be dead.
Yeah.
So we called the fire department. They showed up and they brought like pink hats for the girls for like Easter. And they're like, they're the best.
That's
Yeah,
right.
they're all handsome.
Nah,
and like,
that's the biggest
like,
risk.
No, like, dude, they all looked like you. Just like walking in our house. And Sarah I was like, stop staring at the.
Get out of here, Sarah.
They
It's
just
not
seem-
safe in here.
They just seem like cool guys, And I wanted to be a firefighter when I was in college for I think 3 days. I was like, maybe that'll be my path.
Yeah.
And then realized I'm 5'10", and I was
You'll
very
be good at it.
I was very thank you. I was very scrawny in high school. I was like a $140. So I was like probably
That's like me.
yeah, right.
I packed it on. Later,
Yeah, you look
not
terrible.
muscle either.
But could never do it. So it's fascinating that's your main gig. And I forgot I think you've told me that before, but I forgot your dad is not only a firefighter but chief.
Yeah. He was chief of several departments, and he retired, but he still teaches like for the state
Yeah.
teaching. I'm actually taking a class of his
From your dad
this month coming up. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's good.
Your dad's probably the
No,
coolest.
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's like you, just to blow more smoke.
He's like the hazmat guru in this region. So.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do hazmat training at my old job, and that was a good time training in Chicago.
Hazmat is never fun.
Dude, it's brutal. So fire chief, is that something that is his gig? Is that something you can maybe possibly strive for? Like, how hard is it
It's
to
not
be
a bad
chief?
thing to strive for.
Right.
I think I wouldn't say it wasn't one of his biggest regrets, because I think he became chief at 30. And so,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's
At 30?
real young to do it. And then like from then on, he was never like went back. So you're kind of out of doing the fun stuff, and then you're dealing with personalities and administrative stuff. And
Is it like a little more obviously like office jobby?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I mean, you don't get to go in fires, you don't get to do the cool stuff that we all signed up for. So I think he missed that for doing it at least as early as he did.
Right.
So,
Because 30 is, now that I'm over 30, I could be like, 30 is young.
Now that-
You're a baby.
Yes,
You're just
yes.
getting started in life.
yeah, so not a regret, but I don't think I'd ever want to go up that high if they would even let me, which he's a danger to this.
like you're turning down fire chief every week. Like,
Yeah.
But no, that it makes sense that like that's your day job, because my day job was like office work, emails, sales calls. So like when we would go on shoots, like it can be nerve-wracking going into like a wedding or a music video
yeah.
shoot or a corporate
If
gig.
something arises, it's
Yeah, and you have this attitude every time we do a shoot together. You're like the most zen, calm dude. I mean, maybe you feel differently on the inside, but like you're so relaxed, and I feel like that rubs off on me. I'm like, oh yeah, like everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, where's the fire? You know? And I have to imagine, like, since you have like a job that literally can be life or death.
Sure.
Does that help translate into everyday life where nothing seems as serious?
Oh, for sure. It's good and bad. Most definitely, like, if something's going wrong, it's like I've seen things that are way worse. Like, this is not a problem or this is not an issue. But I'm stressed all the time at weddings or filming where I'm like,
really?
What am I going to do next or what? But
that makes me feel a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So you have emotions?
And I said fake it till you make it, which is a joke. But it's also like, I mean, even one of the things I love about firefighting, and because I'm a paramedic too, and I did that a lot for the first part of my career, was like nothing goes to plan. Like you have a plan until it falls apart, and then you have to be creative to figure out how to do it. Like as a paramedic, you kind of have flow charts of what to do if this X, Y, Z kind of thing, but there's so much subjectivity on how you assess a patient and what you're going to do or how you're going to get them out or whatnot. And the same thing with like, you know, the firefighting side is nothing goes to plan, so it's easy to just kind of roll with the punches and innovate. So on a wedding, it's like it is a stressful day, but it's like good kind of stress, and it's like if something's gonna go wrong, just expect it and just figure out how you can make it better, do the best with it. And
love that. It's got to be a step down. So when you do hit that stress of a wedding day, because you're right, something always goes off, whatever it is. So when that inevitably happens, you're like, I've been here before. When the stakes are way higher,
which also makes you sometimes a lot less of an empathetic person. My wife would be like, you know, she might have a terrible day with the kid or something, and I'm like, that's not really a problem.
You're like, oh, sounds hard. Bad email. But it's true. Like you were a big help for me getting into weddings. Like I got the second shoot for you. That's how I got my start. And I think you were the perfect human for that, because whenever I would maybe freak out, like I screwed this up or this happened, you'd be like, hey man, doesn't matter.
you did,
yeah,
but it won't matter.
You did mess up, but it's gonna be fine. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like you just have such a nice approach.
What's the beauty about, I mean, filming weddings or just any filming too is like you almost get 2 passes at it. Mm-hmm. So like when you're filming, you can get some great footage, or you get not like wish I would have got that, but then you got the whole edit to work with, where you can make that up and find creative ways to either get around that or to make it better or use that. Sometimes some of the limitations can make you more creative. Like, you know, if you're like, this is all you got to work with, it's easy to know where you need to go or how you need to.
Right. So. It's like you said, like whatever limits it, like let's say you don't have everything you need, it can sometimes make the film better because now you have to go a certain direction.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that second camera working would be sweet.
Which is great in theory, but I'm like, I always have way more than I need and always think, if I just had this, it would be so much better. And that's like...
It's not, though, because sometimes you have a wedding that goes perfectly, and you're like, I don't need all this footage.
But you still...
Right.
But if you only had that camera...
It's always something. Like, I don't think I've ever had a wedding yet be like 100% go, like I said, a plan. But yet it always works out.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
I don't think it'll ever happen, and that's part of it. It's just like rolling with the punches.
I was actually last night. I was looking. I was gonna bring you like a little printed out frame or something, but then I got lazy. Just said I'm not gonna do that. Of the first day we met at the wedding. Was Sam? I always forget. Was Sam your sister? Your sister-in-law?
Is Sam my sister or my wife? That's my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law.
Sarah's my wife.
Sarah's sister.
Sam is Sarah's sister, and Sarah's my wife.
I couldn't remember if it was like your sister or your sister-in-law.
Gotcha. No,
but yeah,
sister-in-law.
The footage of you in there as the usher and everything and all that, and I was like, gonna bring a little.
You were gonna bring me like a present?
Yeah.
But I didn't. Oh man. But I didn't. That would have been really sweet. I haven't. You would have been the first one out of these multiple episodes to bring a gift.
But I didn't.
But you did bring a 6-pack of Kona beer. Which is very classy.
I forgot Sarah. She spoke too. She get toasted. Or gave a toast, and I didn't.
Sarah did get toasted.
I was like, I didn't even know her then. That's funny.
That's right.
Because I was looking through it, I go, oh, she gave a speech.
If I do say so, she gave a good speech.
I didn't listen to it.
I'm very biased, but I thought she did very well.
I'm sure she did.
I'm sure she did.
Yes.
So what were you gonna bring? A picture of me, or
I was just gonna take a screen grab and like print it out from Walgreens.
Hilarious.
Or something, but then
so that's where we met. Was my wife's sister's wedding.
Yes.
And that was...
I was trying to film, and this guy was like, hey, what kind of camera you got? What kind? I was like, beat it, dude.
I was 100% that guy while you're working. Like, hey, let's have a full blown conversation.
And I loved it.
Thank you. This was September of 2021.
Yeah, I didn't look at the date, but
Yeah, I mean, this September that'll be 4 years ago, which seems weird. That seems off.
yeah.
I just bought my first camera, which was the Sony A7 III.
I couldn't. So you bought one?
I already had my Sony A7 III, and as any starting videographer does, I'm like, I need a gimbal next.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy
Who had a gimbal.
holding a gimbal with a nicer camera, and I was like, hey.
It was not a nicer camera.
You had the A7S then, didn't you?
So you got an A7 III?
I had the A7 III first.
I think that's what I had then.
Oh.
I think before
so you were,
I got, yeah.
Oh, so this was just before. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I just asked you about the gimbal, and you gave me some direction with the RSC2.
The Ronin.
Ronin,
Yeah.
yeah. Which is great. Still have it. Still use it. Yeah, and you were just super nice. I think I followed you on Instagram after that, and then you just went on to be
Saw
like,
no posts.
dude.
No activity whatsoever.
No.
So
but
bad with social media.
I would message you questions, or you would send me like training courses that you would have to actually buy. Like they were legit training courses, and you just like you guided me on my start, and I am forever grateful of that.
I don't think it was ever like a conscious decision to want to mentor. I don't think I've mentored you by any means.
You 100% have.
But I enjoyed it just as much because I didn't have no sob story, but like everything I learned was YouTube.
Totally.
And never had any friends that were into it or anything. So like when you showed interest, it was
Like-
awesome. It was fun talking about it, and then it just kind of
Stars aligned, I guess.
yes.
So
I mean, it is kind of crazy. Like you had the same camera I did, or at least the same
Yeah.
ecosystem.
and it was just following 2022, which is the year after 2021. I did the math. I guess somewhere along there you got the A7S III, and then I really wanted 4K and 120 frames,
Who doesn't?
which I don't do much anymore. But at the moment, I'm like, I need it for that 100%. Got that camera, and then that's when you were gracious enough again to like, hey, second shoot some weddings with me, which is the way to do it.
I think it was the first one, which I still haven't been back to. That might have been the coolest venue. Was it like Pine Valley or somewhere?
I just
Out
got an
by-
inquiry there for
Was it Pine something?
Oak Ridge. No.
It was out by the wineries out like
Yes, I
down
just had a meeting on Monday about that same venue, and I had to Google it, and I was like, I shot my first wedding here.
it was awesome. It had the little
great.
pond there and
Yeah. Yeah. So I got potentially one in May.
Nice.
It's cool venue. I'll be hitting you up. Yeah, because they want interviews. That's when I texted you about.
Okay.
Yeah. It's at that venue. So
Perfect.
to back up a little bit about training, if anyone wants to get started in video, I bought the one training I did buy was 14-day filmmaker.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like $50,
Yeah.
but they go through like the absolute basics of like here's how to turn on a camera.
I watched is that the Parker Walbeck stuff?
No, it's pardon me, I forget his name, but it's way simpler.
Okay.
You can do it in 14 days.
So
But they go through the exposure triangle and Premiere Pro and just
Yeah.
After Effects, just like it's a really good start. Like if you're starting from zero and you don't want to invest $1,000 in whatever,
or 1,000 hours.
yeah,
And you don't know
it's great.
There's so much on YouTube you can watch, but then there's so much on YouTube you can watch. You don't know who's saying it, so it's
I do good with structure. Here's the actual like plan. Just follow this. So that's where I started, and then that's when you sent me like all your I was a stranger, and you gave me your like.
I'm probably on so many blacklists of sending pirated username
Dude,
accounts.
You gave me your login and password. Like, check it out. Like, educate yourself. I'm like, who is this guy? This is the coolest. So, man,
Yeah.
still haven't worked through all of it.
Well, I wanted to say I've always been inspired by you in a way for just how much you want to learn and how much you act on your different side projects. I don't even know if this is a side project. You have so many side projects that
It's probably a bad thing.
no, it's amazing. I just want
you.
You do all the things in my mind. I'm like, oh, I want to do that, and then I never get to it.
It's thank you. It's like I said, it's probably a mistake. I'm always trying to get more like focused and like just do one thing. You know, it's like there's the band and videography and
You don't want
my corporate job and podcast and family and whatever.
family.
Just dang kids.
Not in any
Those
specific order.
dang
but-
kids. No, family's definitely last. But yeah, so that's why I think I'm just going to commit to it and just call this the Henthorn Media Podcast, just so it feels like the same thing.
Yeah. I
You
love
know?
it. It's great. I
Thanks.
was listening on the way here.
All right, cool.
The first, the Kevin,
The
was
Kevin one.
amazing. I was like,
He's great.
I am gonna be the third and last guest because I can't
No.
compare to him.
No, he was a great
Awesome audio engineer, Chris Daly, dude.
Chris Daly. Glad he showed up. No, you're to get a little preachy. Like, I want this podcast to be like people who are part-time creatives, full-time creatives, people who want to do it full-time, work-life balance. How do us as dads and working side jobs still do maybe something we want to do more or just enjoy doing it on the side?
When you find out,
Yeah.
let me know.
Dude, but it's just like you're like a perfect candidate for this. Like, you have a full-time job. You have, if I can say it, like 3 beautiful kids, a wife. You find time to still shoot weddings and do some corporate gigs and edit and deal with knuckleheads like myself. Like, that's a ton on your plate.
It's a lot.
And you're homeschooling your kids too on top of that.
Well, yeah.
That's insane. Like, you're super dad.
We try.
You know? So I appreciate you're the first one on the show who's a dad juggling all that. Me as a fellow dad needs someone to
I would like to take all the credit for it.
Sure.
But, family's like so important, and my wife does so much for as much stuff as like, so, well, now we work 48-hour shifts at the firehouse. So, that's a long time to be gone. That's like going on a business trip every week for my wife. So there's so much that she has to do when I'm not around.
Right.
And then when you go on top of it for a weekend or, film a wedding all day Saturday or whatever, it's like that's just more on her plate, and I would never be able to do that without that support, I guess,
Totally.
So I don't know if I have any great advice on that. It's like find someone who loves you enough to deal with it, I guess.
Michelle's not even here, and that was beautiful.
I don't know.
Mazel tov to the wives.
That's right. But it is tough, and I think the thing I struggle with constantly is you're pulled in so many different directions and that you can't give what you feel like is enough
Right.
to any of it.
No, that's it. Where it's like kids are obviously people who have kids know they're the best, the best blessing.
Yeah.
But like it was just yesterday, I woke up at like 6 a.m. and you kind of piddle first a little bit in the morning. I got my coffee.
You wake up at 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Yes, sir. And it's like 7, maybe 7:30 now, and it's like I'm kind of done doing whatever I got to do. I got my coffee. I'm downstairs. I'm gonna get to editing. Like,
There you go.
perfect morning thing.
You have plans.
I have plans. It's written down. It's time boxed. It's time to go. And then the kids are awake, and it's hey, Daddy, put on Bluey or whatever. And it's just like I had that pity party where I'm like, man, if I didn't have these kids, I could start working, But like, what a good thing to complain about. It's like, it's fine. It's fine. But it's those little, slight nuances or
last
annoyances.
night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock last night, my youngest was like, "Oh, my tummy hurts." I was like,
Here we go.
all right. And Michelle's like, "I think he's getting sick." I'm like, he's not sick. And then just starts throwing up all. And then all last night he was throwing
Yes.
up, and then Michelle's with him now, and I'm here.
Thanks for coming over.
So it's like,
He has the flu.
yeah.
Thanks for letting me take a drink out of your beverage.
That's right.
It happens. And then like my oldest is starting school soon, so we're doing that whole thing, which is wild. But the fact that she is starting school,
And she's
like,
how old now?
she will be 6 this August, so she like just missed that cutoff. So yeah, that shows me like how fast it goes.
Super fast.
I can't believe it, because you feel like we'll be in this stage forever, but it
feels like forever.
It feels like forever. Like I watch the kids full time on Fridays. Like that's when I stay home, and just be with the kids. And it hit me the other day, like, oh, like we're only gonna have like 20 more Fridays or whatever it is before she's like off to school.
Or you think, what's the sad thing? It was like 10 more summers.
Oh, don't stop! Stop! More booze. Yeah, and then they're gone. Like, oh my gosh, like
we've said it like weddings.
dude.
I've told you, like, I could have cared less about father-daughter
Preach.
dances before weddings.
Chris,
Like,
talk to me.
that was when you go to the bar to get a drink or go to the
Right.
bathroom.
Who cares?
Now we're filming it and you're just like, oh.
Have you legit not full on cried,
No.
but have you have
I'm
you
a
at
man,
least
Michael. I'm a man.
so have you at least welled up?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, I'm not saying like streaming, but like there's been some weddings where like if the dad's really crying and if it's a good song,
Yeah.
if those two things are hitting, bro,
Yeah.
Because I'll think
For
about,
sure.
I got 3 daughters. I'll think about them stupid kids.
Oh, yeah.
And it just, oh my gosh.
And it goes by quick.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah. There's just one speech. I'm trying to think if you were there. I can't remember. But he was talking about how he had her on her lap. They were like, had cereal. He went to reach for something and he like dropped her. And then he like freaked out. And then he's like, and then I blinked and then I'm here giving the speech to you. And I was like, oh,
Yikes.
that like,
Yikes.
that goes by fast. It was like, man.
Yeah, it's going to go by fast. And again, just now that she's starting school, it's like, oh, this is a fraction of time. You know, I don't know.
It's funny what they learn in school. What they're teaching them in school
What
these
these
days.
kids learn in school.
You just realize how stupid you are. You're like,
Okay.
You're like, why does this word sound like? And you're like, it just does. I don't know. I can't tell you.
My
And that's homeschooling.
Cece, my second oldest, will like ask me a question. She'll be like, "What's this bottle?" I'm like, "Oh, this is like." Not that she's asking about booze, but for example, I'd be like, "Oh, it's
Daddy,
like
what are all these bottles?
it's Brazilian rum," and she's like, "What's Brazilian rum?" I'm like, "It's this bottle." She's like, "But what is that bottle?" She'll like talk in circles. I'm like, "I don't know how to answer your
How
question."
to get this to the finish line?
I told Sarah the other day, I go, having kids is like having a "dude, that's crazy" conversation that doesn't end every day. You know?
Yes.
They'll stutter through some explanation. It's like, dude, that's crazy. And then they tell you 6 more times.
It keeps going.
Dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
And then do you feel guilty about it?
100%.
And then in your mind, you're like, I need to be 100% present right now. And you just can't.
Being a dad is like, you can't wait for them to go to bed. And then they go to bed and you're like,
And you're
I
like,
miss them.
Yeah.
I wasn't good today. I wasn't present enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we have those thoughts, I think makes us good dads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to rationalize.
We're so bad we're good.
As we drink without our kids.
Yeah. This is the happiest I've been in months. Yeah, which they're not here right now. That's been the move whenever we're filming. Just, hey,
Yes.
can you leave?
Once again, the wives.
Sorry.
That's another thing about weddings. Is like, I always like the vows. I mean, it's kind of mushy. I don't say I enjoy it, but it always makes me nostalgic and think about my wedding, and which I've tried to tell my wife that several times. Like, I just love it because it's like it renews your, what you promised. She's like, okay, cool. I'm like, oh, okay.
I guess I love you more.
Yeah.
No, that's true, because you can get into like the daily grind, whatever.
Yeah,
You don't appreciate
like,
it.
We were
every
here
day.
at one point.
Yes, and then you're exactly right. When you hear like it's someone's first wedding, it's their day, it's their 9th wedding, but it's like it's their first time. It's a big deal. Like the emotions are high. It might be the 12th wedding you filmed that year, but for them, it's like it's their one time.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have like those
Yeah, you just go back.
flashbacks, and you relive it, and it feels like, oh yeah, like I really love my wife. This is why we can't have dads on the show. We just gush.
when you were filming your like music videos, did you want to get into video then? Like, did that pique your interest? Or what even brought?
Yes. I was the one in the band who had the music video ideas, or they were nice enough to let me, like, here's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I always, like, I had a camera growing up, like the little mini VHS tapes.
Oh,
and
I brought that, by the way.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What?
Get that out.
Okay.
The Sony Handyman.
Yeah. I had, like, an old camcorder, so I used to, like, make movies, like, with my brothers, and it was a whole thing, and I was like, maybe I'll be a filmmaker when I grow up. This was when I was, like, 9. And then when I started
And look at you now.
Look at me now. I loved, bands growing up, as one does, and I've always like gravitated towards like the music videos, like that always went hand in hand with the music for me. It's like, that's the song. What's the video look like? Who does the band look like? What's the storyline? Like, always loved that component of it. Mm-hmm. So when I started my first band, Captain's Courageous, and we got to the point where we could start to do music videos, I had so much fun with it. Yeah. So I would like write out like the music videos first sometimes, or if we'd be in the studio recording a song, I'd be already thinking about the music video. And we had this guy, Dave Stankoven, who was a great cinematographer, and he had his camera, and he knew how to edit. So he did all the filming and shooting, and I was the director with a clipboard of just, like, barking out ideas, having no idea. Like,
I need more.
Having no idea how to film it. I didn't know how, like, crazy whatever I was saying, like, my ideas were. I was just like,
I feel like that's the beauty of music video. I mean, that's not you filmed way more music videos than me, but I feel like they're all over the place. It could be
great.
a lot of structure, no structure. It always was daunting to me because I feel like they have all these great ideas or many ideas of different sets and different places and different things, and it's like
that was definitely my problem where I would have the ignorance to like
be like,
let's go to 9 different locations. Like, what's it matter? And now that I'm shooting them, I'm like, we have 2 locations.
Yeah. This corner and this corner.
Reel it in. It's just like a lighting thing, you know? But it was way more run and gun back then, too. And it was just, I guess that's where my love for film, whatever, started. And got paid a couple times to just, like, direct some music videos, still not knowing how to, like, film anything. Director. Super fancy director. And then it wasn't really until 2021 where I was like, maybe I can get a camera and figure it out. And I got to thank my guitar player, Dan Kearns, who bought a camera, the same one, to be a photographer. And he was just like, I'm a photographer now because I bought a camera. And I was like, you can't.
That's true.
I was like, you can't do that. You have to like, what do you mean you're a photographer now? You can't just do that, you know? And him just doing it, like, clicked something in my brain. I'm like, hold on. If you can just do it, I was like, I can do this, you know? And I don't think if he didn't make that move to become a photographer, I don't know if I ever would have bought my first camera.
Just
so
put up walls.
I thank him all. I put up like these weird walls. I'm like, it seemed like this unclimbable mountain to like figure it out and buy a computer and learn editing. It seemed so daunting.
Yeah.
So I owe him a lot as far as
I feel like that's where I envy you in a way. Is you scaled those walls where I just sit there and like, that's a wall. Yeah.
You can't say that when you do so much right. Wall. You know, no, here's the difference. You climb those walls, and I just talk about climbing the walls. You just do it like a man and don't complain about it. But like, dude, like the firefighting and so you've done everything I've done.
Does he
except
still?
cooler.
Does he still?
Yeah.
Shoot?
He does. It's not a full-time gig, but he'll still shoot and do the thing, and he's good at it. Like if he wanted to take it full-time, he would just need to, like a little more like he would just
devote his focus that way a little bit.
Yeah, he's still doing like he's doing really good with the whole music thing and the music thing. Like he's got like cover bands and he's still writing some original music and he's going hard in that and he's doing really good in it. But if he wanted to go full time, I'm sure he could. I'm sure he could figure it out.
I wish I could be a musician.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you play guitar?
I played saxophone.
Yes.
Violin. This was all in like elementary school, and then I gave that up. And I picked up a guitar in high school, and then am terrible. But I just wish I was good. And it's like I know the main chords, and that's it. And then it's like, man, I just wish I was good.
Would you ever want to pick up an instrument again?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have a guitar, so I'll fiddle around, but I'm terrible. Like,
I bet you're not terrible.
I'm not terrible, but it's not great, and I can't sing. I just wish I was good because I feel like music was a big, like in my wedding films or whatnot. Yeah, that's like the main thing, and that's how I got into filming.
Yeah, talk about that, please. I feel like I've been blabbing.
I feel like
you're my gracious guest. No, please.
So as embarrassing as it is, being 38, I love EDM, or I loved EDM.
So embarrassing.
I've grown up a little bit, maybe. And at the time, in like 2014, whenever it was, there's like after movies that I feel like were uniquely in electronic music. I don't know. It was just all these big festivals, and they're huge with like the filming and gimbals and all the cinematography, and it just like slowly builded from the beginning of day one of the festival, and it would just culminate with all this energy. And me and my friend, when I was living with like 6 roommates,
right?
You know, we were that phase of life, I guess. And I just got into that, and it was like we love those. So I was like, I'll just take a camera to the next festival we go, and I'd make movies doing that. And then I realized like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun. And when I started teaching myself how to do, I think I had a Sony A6300.
Yeah.
I think was the first one I had. And then I just spammed, a bunch of artists for Dance Festopia and Casey, and got, one that was like, oh, yeah, I saw that video. And then you'd go to a festival for free, and, you felt like you were cool. But
so you started, like, filming concerts.
Not many. Like,
but that's
enough.
That's what sparked
and then I would
it.
just sneak my way into the pit and, like, film stuff for my own, and then get caught and kicked out. And then it was great.
You gotta connect with my friend Rachel. She's, like, very much in that world of EDM. So if you ever want to film it again, she has shows. She's great.
I'm down. It's so fun. But I feel
you
like
tear
that
it up.
Seeped into, I don't know, my psyche of how like I like wedding films. It seemed like there's a little more energy. Like the whole day, it kind of starts slow and just builds, like a lot of those videos did.
Right.
And so I think that's where it kind of came from.
Kind of connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you? So that's how you got started. How did it transition
To weddings?
into it? Did someone ask you like, hey, can you just film it? You know.
I think I had a buddy who was getting married in Seattle, and he was like, I was making family videos after that of just when we'd go on vacation.
Yeah.
My son or my daughter's birth, because I didn't have kids at that point, and then just made cool videos. And then he was getting married, and he was like, I'll fly you out to Seattle if you like for free and stay if you want to film. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And I was like, if he'll do that, then maybe somebody else will do it. And then, you know,
what year was that?
2017 maybe.
All right. Okay, so that's early.
I looked at my first. I had my first contract of a wedding, and it was 2018.
That's amazing.
And so yeah.
See, I got married in 2017, and the ironic thing is we did not get a wedding.
I didn't have one either.
There you go. And I feel like it wasn't as big of a thing then. Like
I wish I would have had one.
Same, and I feel like I pictured like my parents' wedding video where it's like on a tripod. It's like an hour long, and no one watches it. It's like we don't need that. You know, we don't need to spend $7,000 on that. And now you see these wedding videos, and they're like documentaries, and they're like these cinematic, awesome memory box things. And I desperately want one, and we don't have one. And so if you were making films back in 17 and 18, like you're kind of there for the start.
No,
you're on the forefront, man. You're a pioneer.
I don't think so. And it was fun. And then you just run into people like, I don't know. I never took myself so serious. I think it was just like my main job was always so serious, and being around all that like heavy stuff at times. So it was just like a fun, creative outlet to do that. Where at weddings, everybody's happy. So you're just like, it's fun. So I always like to think of myself as like, maybe it's not how the brides think of me, but I like to think I'm just like a wedding guest, and my gift to you is going to be your film. Like we're friends. You make a relationship, and it was just always fun filming a wedding. So, and then you realize you can get paid pretty good for it. I was like, well, this seems like a no-brainer.
You're obviously very skilled at what you do, but I feel like you would get hired just off like personality alone.
It's like looking into a mirror, me and you, because like,
stop it.
The same number of kids, the same cameras.
It's bad. This is what this podcast is right now. It's like have a friend on and then just compliment each other for 2 hours.
An echo chamber.
Well, it's kind of nice. Like I can get in these like work zones where I'm just, you know how it is with wife and kids and work, and that's all you're doing. It's like doing this podcast is like a nice like life hack to like make people come here and hang out with me for 3 hours.
A captive audience,
dude. Just like
when does this shackle come off my foot down here? Can I leave or no?
You're staying the night. This is too much fun. So yeah, but just like have a locked in conversation, which is weird.
This may lower your faith in public servants, but one of the things I don't know. I was always, I feel like, just a genuinely kind of nice person. Just growing up. No, I don't mean that in a bit like an egotistical way. I was just always easy to get along with. But like,
I'm amazing.
This sounds really bad, but as a paramedic, and obviously you try to give the best care and do everything right. But I mean, people make mistakes and do everything wrong. But if you treated a patient with the kindest, most generous attitude, as you should always, but if you were just the nicest to them, but provided really bad care, and like maybe didn't give a drug that they needed, and or like not that's gonna kill, but like
right, I
just
got
didn't
you.
do the best job, as compared to someone who did things immaculately, like medically, but was an asshole. Like you'd be called into the office and chewed out because they would like complain and do everything just based off how they're treated. So it's like it was a huge learning thing for me to realize just the way you treat people has a outsized impact to maybe what you may or may not be like doing for them. And I thought, I mean, I try to be the best paramedic.
To be clear, he's really good at his day job.
Yes. But it was like kind of surprising to me. But like you'd see people get in trouble for something and be like, well, they didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Oh, they said they were dismissive of this, or they, and you're like, that's weird.
Attitude matters, man. Yeah. It's like people, what's the saying? People won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's it.
That's it, man.
Because like a lot of the stuff we see, it's not an emergency.
Right.
And it's like their worst day. And if you can just sit there with them in that and kind of like be there with them for that, even though to you it's like, well, this is not really a big deal. It helps. And I think that carries over to just all aspects of life.
The idea to like, yeah, that's huge. I mean, especially dealing with like brides or people who are anxious or grooms or whoever, they're nervous. Like the way it's like we're trying to make the best film possible, but the way you can calm somebody down, or just crack a joke or just read somebody like that. I don't know, maybe it can be taught, but like I feel like that's such a valuable skill to have, and you probably have like a ridiculous amount of practice with the day job, just dealing with real crisis. Yeah. And like you said, that has to translate into everyday life. So that's a huge skill.
I mean, your wedding's not, it's easy to understand why they'd be stressed, but it's like, there should be nothing to stress out about this. Even if like all these things go wrong, you're getting married.
You're getting married. It's a party.
Yeah.
I always tell my couples, like, when you wake up on your wedding day, that's the worst you're going to feel. Like, that's the worst. I like
that. That's good.
Those first 5 minutes.
That's the lowest part of the day.
That's the low point. It's like it's like a nice upward curve as the day progresses, and especially after the ceremony, you're great. You're golden.
Yeah.
It's no
I like that.
no
That's
big
good.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah. What's I gonna say? Can't remember.
It's okay. Awkward lulls are good. Speaking of that,
keep it real.
I gotta fix this table. I've been editing the last 2 episodes, and it's super wobbly. so my wife was like watching one. She's like, "You see how wobbly that table is? Like,
I'm
that's
afraid
bad."
to lean on it.
Yeah, it's like if you lean on it, I keep looking at your water bottle, which is like a Schnucks brand. Like, I love Schnucks, but it's
you need to get some kind of wedding venue on here.
Yeah, right. I gotta get a water sponsor, but it's I think this is my wife's grandma's table, which is great.
Can't make fun of it now.
No, it's like an heirloom now, but maybe I need to invest in a podcast table. Or just level it.
Or just a shim.
Just a shim or a towel. I don't
shim.
know. No, we're making it work. I'm just happy we have a table.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what's the play? Is it chief firefighter? Maybe eventually go into weddings full time? Like, you can do anything, man.
I don't know. That'd be my other piece of advice almost. Like, I'm happy with firefighting and I love it. I think I found out that I love this. You say you put up these walls, and one of my walls I was like, I found out I love this a little too late. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think the younger you are, if you can find out what really, because I'm very easygoing. Yeah. And I just float along, and then like my dad was a fire chief and loved it, and like it seemed pretty cool to me, and I kind of just floated along, being like, oh, that's what I'll do when I grow up.
Yeah.
And then never really found or chased after like what I would really want, maybe. And so, and then you get married and have kids and have responsibilities and life and all that, and you're like, well, I'm kind of not pigeonholed here, but
not at all.
Yeah, and like none of that is bad. That's all good, but I'm happy where it's at, because I think it's a good mix of like helping and getting to do fun, exciting stuff, and then able to be creative and kind of mingle the two. And one thing like firefighting, like as of now, like we just started a new schedule, but it was still kind of in principle the same. Like we work 48 hours straight, but then we're off 4 days. So like being alone with my 3 kids, I mean, we get to go to the science center, to the zoo, to the whatever on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever we want, and nobody's there, and you get to spend all this time. And so it's like, I mean, that's a huge thing
that's
the job
huge.
Gives back. Yeah. There's not many people can get to know their kids or be around them that much, or you get them after they've gone to school and then they're tired and you're tired from work and you never get to hang out.
Right.
We get fresh new days all the time, so that's good.
That's perfect. And
it's the best of both worlds.
I hope my question didn't come across like,
no.
When are you going full time? Because like
I would love to go full time,
well,
but it's also,
I don't know. Like
I think if I did, I'd probably like.
I feel like
kind of nice.
You said 2 key things. Where number one, you said you're happy, which that's huge,
kind of key,
and kind of key. And number 2, like you like being a firefighter.
Yeah,
you like your job. And then just briefly hearing and I'm sure it's more stressful than you're leading on, but like your schedule, like that's a great schedule.
Yeah.
Or at least it sounds great.
It is great. 2 days can be a long time. I mean, you miss.
Sure. That probably feels
birthday
much longer.
Parties, you can do that whenever, but
yeah,
Christmases or whatever. But I think it's more of an issue for my wife. That, like, 'cause with my dad being in it, is like, you know, he might be working Christmas. You just celebrate Christmas Eve or the day after, you know.
I didn't think about that, and there you go.
But I kind of grew up with it, so it was never.
It's kind of
just
normal
another
for
day
you.
in a way.
Yeah.
So you can always work around that. But it does, like, my kids, their first 2 basketball games are coming up this weekend and next weekend, and then
There's still a lot of sacrifice in that.
yeah, but
For sure. You just start crying. Back it up. So it's 48 hours on, and then you said 4 days off?
correct. 96 hours off.
Yeah, so at least you get those 4 days to really, like you said, like soak it up. And you're a good dad, much better than me in the sense of like you actually, I feel like you'll go to parks or go to the science center or the magic house or whatever.
There's a lot of yelling.
There's a lot.
involved.
I feel like I'm so bad at that. I'm like, oh, I got watch the kids every Friday, and I'm like, Bluey, frozen pizza, naps at 1:30. You know, and I should probably go.
Yeah.
Maybe they're slightly younger. That's probably just an excuse. That's an excuse. I should be better.
Our kids are pretty close.
I know. I totally walked it
like the
back.
same
I'm like,
person.
they're the same age. I'm just a bad dad.
I've been reading this book, Habits of the Household, or Habits for the Household. It's pretty
Adorable. My phone, sorry to cut you off, totally thinks I'm a housewife. Like, but now that you said like that book title, like I'll look at my Instagram or my TikToks, and it's like, "Are you a tired mom?" I'm like, yes,
maybe.
I could be. So go ahead.
It just got me what you're talking about, just throwing on a show. I even did it today. But it's just taking the time of like your kids are being formed by something, and it's like if you're just throwing on TV, even if it's harmless, like are they being formed by that, or are they being formed by you? Like, actually taking them out and doing stuff. And it's
Cool.
like,
I didn't think about that.
I mean, like life isn't neutral. Like they're soaking everything in, and they're soaking it in from somewhere, either from you or from. I mean, it's gonna happen. Regardless, but to what extent?
I was all high and mighty on Sarah the other day. She gave Cece her cell phone to play games. I'm like, don't. It's like a tablet. Like, don't give the kid the phone. Like, that's stupid. And then like
Give him the phone.
10 minutes later, I'm like, what do you want to watch on TV? Just put on a bigger phone. I'm like, you're such a hypocrite. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm particularly bad at that. Michelle, my better half, is much more attuned to limiting that than me, but
Sure. Well, us dads were supposed to be more fun, right?
we are.
Yeah, but no, that's cool to walk it back a little bit. The work schedule, and you love being a firefighter, and you still can you still make great films, and you still do the wedding thing, and you still buy the gear and do the whole thing. Where it's like I'm doing this full time, and I think my benefit in that was I hated my day job.
Yeah.
You know, that looking back would maybe an advantage, you know, to making the leap, or I always hated it. And it's fast. It's crazy how fast it goes, where like your dad was a firefighter, and when my wife and I were dating, all I said while we were dating is like, I don't want to like grow up and work at UPS like my dad. And this is before I was
Your
even
dad
working.
did that?
Yeah, he's been with
know
UPS
that.
since the 80s, you know, so he's 62, and
It's actually his initials.
yeah, well, yeah, it's exactly it.
Ulysses.
Exactly. But yeah, he's been UPS, I don't know, 40 years now, and that's been his thing. And before I knew it, it's like 12 years, like same path. And I'm like, oh no.
So you worked there 12 years?
It would have been 12 years at UPS this Tuesday.
Wow.
Right. And it's like, again, you gave me a nice kick where we were doing a corporate video later this past summer, and I was like briefly kind of talking to you about like, I think I'm going to make the jump soon. I'm thinking April 1st. And you said, don't do that. Go January 1st.
You should be leery of me when I have not.
Yeah, you're like
I have no skin in the game. Like, do it.
You're like,
Quit
go
your job.
January 1st. I was like, no, that's way too soon. And then oddly enough, I quit that like in November. Just the way it panned out. But yeah, so if I were like you and I loved my job and I had more of that work-life balance, like, why would you quit? Like, that's a sweet gig. And I think like without being like, oh, I'm full-time, because I can kind of be maybe like an ego thing. Like, this is my job. Like, whatever. Yeah. You get the best of both worlds, you know? So you're in a good spot, man. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mindset in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where I was like unhappy at my job too. And I don't know maybe the root cause of that. I don't know. But also like my wife kind of just quit her job. So like the idea of going full time, at least right now, is not like a practical one. Right. And I think that's made me a lot happier in a way, because then I'm not like just pining for something else. kind of how we were talking about before of like constraints
Sure.
kind of free you in a way. Not saying that's a constraint.
You feel like more where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is how it will be for right now, and like, it's good. There's nothing to complain, but rather than being like, oh, I really want to do this, and I
Well-
really want this, if only this, and you're like,
You've been very complimentary to me, being like, you went full time, like, good, like
you're the
kudos,
only
but
one that had
like,
the balls.
but like, to you, to put the compliment back, like you're the ultimate like dad husband, where it's like I think like the biggest flex in like 2025 is you can like retire your wife, and you can like dead serious.
Oh,
you
she's
know,
gonna
like,
go back to work.
She's gonna go.
No,
But like, dude, if I could eventually like make enough money, whatever it is, to like have Sarah stay home, like that's the game.
and I don't even know if
That's
it's
the
making enough
game.
money because it'll be tight.
But
it's like,
okay, that's even.
I am one who needs to buy. I love gadgets and I love things, so it's gonna.
You're
be
the
like
one spending the money.
Huge changes, but it's once again, it's like priorities. Like what, like why necessarily is she working to me to have a cool new tripod or something?
Because you need it.
Yeah, I know.
Could you imagine
I
if it
still got it.
wasn't perfect?
Yeah.
I still got it.
I asked her though, so
It's just something on my mind. It's like if I could get Sarah home, that'd be such a blessing. So the fact that like that's the path you're doing is like, oh man, like did I mess up?
I don't think you
know,
can. I think you just
we're
figure
just
it out.
trying our best.
Going back to the whole just adapt. It is what it is. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I whatever. I just it's super cool. So doing all that, homeschooling the kids, you're just making me look bad is what I'm trying to say.
No,
Yeah, so
not at all. But
you're just the worst.
no, if there was the chance to go full time, like if it organically got there, that'd be cool. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll be millionaires soon, man. I definitely want to, whenever you're ready, try it with more of that delicious sugar.
the right ingredients.
I didn't hate that though.
It's good.
I gotta talk
As
to
it
my
got watered down too. It's good.
Yeah, I definitely gotta. I think if I made this version to my dad, he would like it. That's very drinkable.
And you'd finally have his approval.
I would finally have his approval. Yeah, that was a big thing. He's been with UPS 40 years, and telling him I was quitting was weird, but he was like super supportive.
Did you feel? Was he?
I was terrified.
That's probably a big reason why I would never broach it. The idea is like the shame, and I feel like my dad would be fine with it.
Your dad would. If my dad was cool with it, he'd be cool with it. But like, luckily, like I've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years leading up to it, where it wasn't like I'm gonna buy a camera tomorrow and try this thing. You know, like the proof of concept was there. Like last year was a good like doing both. It was like 2 full-time jobs, so like it was a good transition. But yeah, I called him up and broke the news, and he was like, oh, he was super cool about it.
That's
So I was
awesome.
like, all right, cool, yeah,
That's awesome.
he's the best.
Do you think to change gears and not to be pessimistic, because I'm not at all. Do you think AI? How do you think that would affect the industry?
Yes,
Videography.
we're smart enough to have this conversation for sure.
We're
More
not.
booze. Let's just do shots.
I love all things AI in a way.
I think for the next 5 to 10 years, at least in the video side of it, it's gonna do nothing except aid it and make
Agreed.
Things editing easier and make proposals easier and graphics, whatever. Beyond that, it could get weird. I could see it getting weird. But I think for the next 5 to 10 years, we're okay. I would be like, my wife's a graphic designer. I would be worried if I was a graphic designer. Just because I see like
what you can do for
I'll
such
ask-
little effort.
I'll ask her for graphics and stuff, and I'm like, I'll just use AI. I don't need
Well,
you.
my wife was like, her whole job was Excel and doing all that. I was like,
it's getting weird. So I can't think of a way. Like I can see how a robot can make a logo. I can. Someone with my
there's a
awesome.
robot that actually makes them.
It's a physical robot
It's
that
stitching
that
it.
draws them and he embroiders it. I can see how like a computer AI can make a logo or a script or whatever. I can't picture like a human or an AI like making a music video or talking with a band or being there for a wedding day. I can't picture
that
to hold the camera.
Documentary stuff.
All the documentary stuff, which I love. So I think
And I would love to do more that's not documentary as well. I mean, I do love all that. But like creatively, There's some short film I just saw on YouTube. It was all made by AI. It was like some aging rock star. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
It's phenomenal. I mean,
so everything I just said was not true.
Well, with the stuff when it's like they need people want a video of their wedding day,
Right.
or the band's tour, not just some
if they wanted to be in it,
fiction of it.
yeah. So I think we're okay for the next 5 to 10 years, but after that, I don't know.
Yeah,
We're gonna be fine until we want to be done with it.
so we're too old.
Yes. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't know if it's like, do we want to do videos until we're 65? You know, all I know is it's the right thing right now, and
It's tough.
I love it.
It's tough though.
What's
Like I
that?
get done with a wedding day.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it sounds
So
like
hard.
the weakest thing ever. It's like I
No.
just ache.
That's why I try to like do the kettlebells, or I go on my runs. Like, that's for weddings. You know, like those days are exhausting.
I don't do anything.
You need like power gel.
My lower back
My lower
just
back.
kills.
Dude, I was driving back from Lion's Choice with my mom 2 days before Christmas this year, and we got rear-ended pretty good.
When was it? Before Christmas?
Just before Christmas.
And you didn't tell me?
No, yeah, Chris, paramedic. I was working on a wedding film, actually, so I was going to deliver it that day, and I went out to lunch and then got in the car. I know, I was like,
Sure.
it sounds like I was lying. I was like, I was going to deliver it, but I got rear-ended. I like took a picture. I'm like, I'm not lying. But ever since then, like, my lower back is like killing me. My neck is kind of crinked up, you know. I don't know.
Sponsored by Brown and Crouppen.
Yeah. But yeah, so exercise.
It's like that stupid gimbal. I've said it so many times. Like, if I had a flag belt holster,
Mm-hmm.
it would look ridiculous, but it would be so helpful.
You ever thought about going just handheld?
Yeah.
That's probably worse though.
I don't know. Can't do it like you.
You,
I always want to, but the style's different.
yeah,
Mine's more of a crutch.
no, they're both good. I think gimbals are good for. I think I need to use them more for like ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like the handheld aspect, just for like, I don't know, get the framing. It feels easier.
It's more organic.
I can look at my big monitor and make sure.
For some
everything's
reason, I feel like if
exposed.
I have a tool, you need to use it, and that's like that's like
Sure.
a bad frame of mind. But
like I said before we started, like my first few weddings were very gimbal heavy, and like the more
you're welcome.
it's like when I first when I first started weddings, it was like gimbal movements and shooting it wide open, you know, like 1.4.
Still do it.
Everything and everything in slow mo, and it's like the more I do it, I'm trying to do like the exact opposite, like less movement. I'm trying to shoot like f2.8 or f4, and handheld. So
That's what's cool though. Is like
just make it easy.
there's not a rubric, you know.
No.
And once you get enough clients or do enough work, it's like once it gets beyond a price point where it's like price doesn't matter. I mean, price always matters, but once it's
Sure.
like they're not just looking for the cheapest,
Right.
they can film their wedding. It's like they're coming to you.
Yeah.
And it's like they like your films or like this other person's films, and it's like
Get
so
a
you don't
style.
need to be like I need to do this. You like just do what you want to do, and then
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We're always learning, right? Whatever.
Speaking of, you gave me the last course.
What's that? Did I?
The doc.
Oh, art
the
of documentary.
unnamed documentary course.
Yeah. We got to make a documentary.
Yes.
I've been trying. I've made a couple for like bands, but I want to like make like a full length, or if you want to call it that.
That would be the goal. I'd be
Right?
all in on that.
Right?
Yes. That'd almost be like a bucket list.
Sure.
I mean, I like to do them a bunch,
Mhm.
but it's like I just want to make some kind of movie or documentary or something. It would just be
I think we can do it. Fine. We've discussed a few topics.
the that one dude I told you about.
Yeah.
He's definitely interested.
Oh, he's interested.
It's
Congrats.
definitely a maybe, but not for the timeline. I
Sure.
talked about. He's actually going on tour
Cool.
with some band
No kidding.
for like nationwide, Canada or something.
Touring band.
I know. So after April, then it's like
That would be like definitely like a dream of mine to like go on like a tour, but it's like but can
Now you're
we?
too old.
Now I'm too old. Got the kids, but it's like if that opportunity ever happened, it's like, hey,
Yeah, I would have loved to do that.
You're right. But
Sarah, not so much.
I don't know. It would be hard to be away.
What is Sarah's dream? What does she want to do?
What does Sarah want? I should probably,
Graphic design.
I should probably ask her. But that's that's the thing though. Like she always wanted to be an artist, and she works as a graphic designer at the Magic House, like helping kids. It's like a nonprofit.
So noble.
She checked like so many boxes, like so early on in her career, where she like you, like loves her job, you know. So I've talked about it with her a few times. Like, would you want to do like anything different, or like, is this it? Like, what's up? And she's like, I love it. She's good. She's very like you, where she's like very just like
Doesn't
go with the
more.
flow.
Yeah.
Just happy, where I'm just like, there's gotta be more to life. Just stressing myself out.
Always.
Yeah,
There's
it's
gotta be.
so self-centered. Like, what else can I do? You know, it's probably bad. It's probably not healthy. But again, it's whatever. So yeah, she loves what she does.
Nice.
Nice.
Top these off.
Let's do it. This might be the first time ever on the show. We're going for
Two?
Number 2.
Oh.
I
Setting a bad precedent.
No, I've offered it before, but this is
Once again, a bad precedent.
We're on
I
ep-
offered it this time.
Hey, we're on episode 3, so I'm sure it's gonna happen more.
Third time's a
So let's make some more drinks and take a
Yes.
break.
Oh. Sounds weird when you.
It feels weird, right? And we're back. Yeah, we were just talking about how we've been hearing slight clicks through the headphones, which there it is again.
That's it.
That's it. So
Crackle.
we'll know we'll know if we're recording or not after the episode.
Just twist it.
Is it just that? It's the first time it's happened.
It's fixed.
It's maybe I fixed it. I was just saying, thank you for introducing me to this.
Yes.
This cocktail. Look at
Which
this.
is what's it called?
The I'm gonna try it. The Caipirinha.
Sure. Nailed it.
Did I? I don't think I did. That is gorgeous looking.
Delicious.
Cheers,
With,
cheers, buddy. Oh, this is two tablespoons.
2 tablespoons.
All right.
of sugar.
Cheers.
I feel like that's
Ooh.
smoother.
Oh, that's the hit.
I think that's it.
Definitely sweeter. Obviously, it feels twice as sweet.
I think that's it.
Is that more familiar that you remember from Brazil?
Yeah. Especially when it started watering down. I think it'll be.
Yeah, that is more.
Yes.
Margarita's the wrong phrase, but it's got that similar sweetness profile.
Yeah.
If you say profile, it sounds fancier.
Profile. Fancy.
I just watched the movie The Menu last night. Have you seen
The
that?
Menu?
Yes.
Oh, is that. Don't they like, eat each other or something?
They don't eat each other, but it's
I have not seen it, but I want to.
Voldemort's the chef, and he
Oh.
murders everybody.
All right.
It's so good.
Is there like a twist? I mean, is that the twist?
That's the twist. It's like this very pretentious, like Michelin star style restaurant,
Uh-huh.
and it's got. I forget this actor's name. He's
I
fantastic.
did want to watch that. I mean, I'm not like, you son of a bitch.
No, you love it. It's got the main actor dude, or the chef is Voldemort. I should know his name.
No one knows,
I can look
no
it
one
up.
knows his name.
I can
How
look
would
it
you
up.
love to be like one of the most
So
watched
bad.
movie
I
series
know.
ever, and no one knows who you are?
The 3 main actors are very notable people. Anna Taylor-Joy is the female lead.
Couldn't tell you who that is.
She was Queen's Gambit,
Oh,
or more
Great
notably
series.
Princess Peach in the Mario movie. Duh.
didn't know that either.
Ralph Fiennes. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Okay, I know the name.
I said Phineas. I think it's Ralph Fiennes. I said Phineas.
Caipirinha.
I can't read apparently. I think it's Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Phineas. Oh man, who let me have a podcast? Nicholas
good with
Holt.
words.
Nicholas Holt.
I don't know any of these names.
Really?
If they sound vaguely familiar,
So you're the dumb.
but if you told me like Queen's Gambit, I loved.
yeah,
Voldemort, I know.
and I said Anna Taylor-Joy. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm never looking up names again.
That's bad.
This is embarrassing. It's that second. I can't even pronounce the drink.
Caipirinha.
Is it? So it's.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is there 2 A's?
Caipirinha, or I think it's Caipirinha.
Anytime I looked up the recipe, it was like a Brazilian guy
I bet
making
AI
it,
would
and
know.
they had like a sweet accent, and I was
Yeah.
like, I can't pronounce
can't.
this. But I think it's Caipirinha.
Yeah, dude, they had these everywhere, and I remember. So when we went, it was cool.
I was gonna say, now that I butchered 3 names in a row while reading it.
I can't remember which was first, but like Brazil hosted the like World Cup and the Olympics, and they were
course.
like back to back, and we went in between them, and so like you could go. They have favelas, which are like the shanty towns that are built on the side of the mountains with like corrugated metal as roofs and all this nonsense. And we were like, let's go up in there. And normally that would be bad, but they, which I don't know if this is good either, but they said since they had the World Cup, And they were like, the Olympics were coming. Like, those favelas are controlled by whatever local gang doing their drug trade and all this stuff. And the government would come in there and do raids, and they have shootouts and all kinds of, like, craziness. They're, like, super dangerous. But apparently the government had told them, like, listen, we got the World Cup, we got the Olympics. We don't want any bad press. Like, so
Oh boy.
we're not going to mess with you. We're not going to raid anything, but, like, do not mess with tourists. Like, no robbing, raping, murdering, whatever. Like, we won't mess with you. Don't do anything bad. And so, like,
oh my gosh.
I don't know if he was part of the gang. Who knows? But he was telling us this,
Right.
that it was, like, essentially pretty safe for us to go.
Oh my god.
And this is all ignorance. But he was like, yeah, and if they find out that somebody did something to it, they'll just take him out and shoot him in the street. And
What?
be like, okay. And so they took us up. They had, like, little kids. These are at the bottom of mountains. They had little kids on motorbikes with radios. They would be, like, lookouts for when the government was coming. They'd, like, radio up, and they'd get rid of everything or get ready to fight. It was wild. And they were the nicest people ever. They were, like...
This makes me feel so sheltered.
Well, yeah.
Living in the middle.
It was like... I mean, some of these things didn't have roofs. I mean, there's no AC. There's electrical, like, power lines everywhere. It's a mess. And there's, like, sewage running down the street. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they're, like, the happiest people ever. They're just, I mean...
Living.
Yeah. It was inspiring in a way.
Sure.
I mean, also, humbling, but...
Yeah, because we can get...
Hey, here we are drinking...
It's like, you ever, like, think, like, how spoiled we are?
Not as much as I should.
Oh, my gosh. Like, I had a day the other day where I was, like, stressful day, like, behind on an edit, and I was the one who had to go to the grocery store and...
See, I don't care about those problems. Those aren't problems.
Yeah, exactly. Like, working myself up for no reason, and, like, I reset myself. That's still clicking. What is that? If that's coming through the audio, I apologize. I have no idea what that is. I don't. It seems like it might just be like the headphones. Regardless,
Time to get new headphones.
time to get new headphones. Yeah, just got these. But just like reframing it, like I have plenty of money to buy food, and the kids are healthy, and I have a job to edit. Like everything's fine. Like my problems are bullshit. Just complaining just to complain.
Yeah, it was a different world. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
But I also thought I got paralyzed on
What?
Copacabana Beach or wherever.
Okay, talk about that.
It's not that great of a story. We were boogie boarding.
New topic.
We're boogie boarding, doing whatever, and then we start getting a little further. We're like, let's get back to the beach. We're getting a little further out, and then we're not that concerned. We're trying to go. And we're like, we're getting a little, like, maybe we're in a riptide, like,
Oh, no.
laughing.
Yeah.
And, like, we need to get back. And we're not. We're not getting any closer.
Like
and
the
we're
tide's taking you?
Yeah, we're, like, getting
Oh,
out
no.
pretty far. And I was like, all right, well, let's just swim parallel to the beach and try to... We're on boogie boards, so I'm like,
Yeah.
we're not going to drown. But...
So I started drowning.
Yeah. And we were past where the waves were breaking. And the waves were pretty high. And finally, one wave came.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, this is my chance to get back. And I got up on this thing, and I swore, when I looked down, I swore, like, I saw sand. Like, the water just came up, and I went head first, and I hit my board, went right into the thing, and I scorpioned, and I felt my back, like, pop.
Oh,
and
my
then
gosh.
And then the leash around the boogie board had, like, wrapped around my legs. When I tried to stand up, it wouldn't move, and I was, like, a split second of, oh, you did it. You just paralyzed yourself, like, 2,000 miles away or wherever.
So you were getting drug out, and then you caught such a big wave it landed on the beach?
No.
Did I hear that right?
This is how rumors start.
How big was this wave?
It probably wasn't that big. It felt like it was huge.
3 feet.
But I swore, like, when it came, I swore I, like, saw sand beneath me. I don't know. Like, it.
Oh, so you were that far out still? And
yeah,
the wave...
and it just, like, when it drew up the water, I don't know if it was just that shallow where that was.
Oh,
or
my
what, but
gosh.
it was-
It's like it was filmed.
I was like, first.
You're like 15 feet out.
You're like life or death, all right?
The way the story was going, it's like we could barely see the shore, and then this wave came, and I'm on the beach.
We just boogie boarded, really. It was.
And I'm with my boogie board. Thought I was paralyzed. That's like the smallest little tumble, but that had to be scary. You just almost break your neck.
We're gonna have to call my friends, all right? They can validate this.
Is there anything worse than having those moments of like I just messed up, like I just did something I might be different.
We can't
now.
go back from this.
I'll never forget this was like, 15 years ago. My cousin and I were. It was 4th of July time, and we had these little, you know those things you light and they like spin and turn colors?
You call it like spinners?
Spinners, I don't know, zippers or whatever.
Yeah.
We had these fireworks. My cousin now calls
here.
them. He calls them cousin killers now. But there were these things that if anyone has that firework that like it zips, I think they're called zipper. I don't know, whatever. They like spin, they change colors, and they die. These would do that, but they would
whisker do's, whisker don'ts.
They would shoot off. So they would like spin.
So you never know where they're shooting.
There was no direction. It would just shoot off. Like
I think they call that
feet.
Russian roulette,
bro. So we went to this park and we were just throwing them, as you do when you're 19.
Yeah.
And we're on the sidewalk and I light one and I throw it perfectly right underneath his like feet. And I'm like, oh, I got him. Like that's perfect.
It's gotta be like the safest spot.
And it came back and came straight back at me and hit me dead in the face.
Oh.
And immediately couldn't see out of, I forget which eye. I think it was this eye. Immediately couldn't see out of it. Just like black. And I was like, oh,
that ain't good.
I just couldn't see. And I was like, oh, gosh, it's probably fine. Probably just nicked me, whatever. So I'm like kind of panicking, but kind of okay. And I go up to my cousin. I'm like, how does it look? And this cousin, he's like the older cousin. Everything's a joke. He's the cool guy. It's fine. And I'm like, well, how do I look? He looks at me and goes, oh, no. And I'm like,
good.
Like he was
the one voice of reason was panicking.
He was like serious, you know, and I was like, oh, I lost my eye. I'm blind. Of course, I have both my eyes still. It got hit like right underneath this bone, right here, and it just caught me right here. Made it cut, and then got like swollen. Had to go to the hospital.
The firework like cauterized it to keep.
Dude, had to go to the hospital. Got stitches where they just like glued it, put a Band-Aid on it. Whatever it was, and
see, now that sounds way more dramatic than what it was.
Way better than your crash. No, but like in that moment, like you said, when you hit the sand and you have that split second where you're like, I'm different now, like I messed up.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt. I'm just like, I had to call my dad. I'm like, everything's fine, but like I screwed up. I might be blind.
What's the worst you've been hurt?
That. I think that because it's like I'll still think about that occasionally because I really was like a quarter inch away from losing my eye.
It happens.
I was that close.
I mean, it's not common, like, but it happens.
It happens.
I'm probably like the one person of my friends where I'm like, that's just not a good idea. Like, don't do it. Or my wife, like, I always joke, her family, they're just like risk averse. Well, no, the opposite of risk averse. They throw caution to the wind. And like, you didn't think this was a bad idea or something. Now the child's hurt.
Now the child's hurt. I feel like I'm way too protective over my kids.
And I never wanted to be like that.
I know. I'm totally like helicopter parent. You know. I don't know. What's the worst you've ever been injured? Was it the boogie board incident? Which sounded terrible.
I wasn't even injured in that. But I thought I was. I thought I was paralyzed. I thought I was gonna have to spend like an $80,000 medical flight from Brazil as I'm a quadriplegic. Like
my Dan Kearns, who I was talking about earlier, he was on one of those Warped Tour at sea things.
Okay.
And somebody had to get helicoptered out from one of those. They jumped from like their room into the pool.
Oh.
But the pool didn't have water in it.
Send it, bro.
The pool had no water. So he just went from room to like sub 41, in too deep, concrete, and had to get helicoptered out. So as a professional paramedic firefighter, how much would that cost?
Better have insurance.
You better have insurance. I did break my nose once off a diving board, actually. And I didn't even hit the diving board. I just did like a back dive and hit the water perfectly flat. And
the water broke?
I hit the water like
I can see it now.
Square. Yeah, right. I had to have nose surgery. And it broke my nose. And it was one of those things like right when it hit the water, I was like, that didn't just hurt, like something broke. I got up like this nosebleed.
I have a similar. I broke my wrist once.
Oh no!
It ended my collegiate baseball career. I would say.
You would have gone pro.
I could have.
You could have.
Probably not.
Probably. Not.
I was good at baseball, but I did play in college.
This might sound weird.
Vaguely.
You look like a baseball player.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know what that means, but like you look like you'd be on a big League Chew box. bag.
They don't. Yeah.
They do still make it. I've seen it.
They don't make David sunflower seeds anymore. Like,
wait,
they
what?
do, but you can't find it. So all kind of lies going out here.
Don't make David's.
Just go to a gas station. It's not David's anymore. It's like they used to corner the market. Same with rolled gold pretzels.
They don't make Wheaties anymore.
It's so hard to find.
They do.
In a gas station.
I mean, you can still buy them anywhere, but like, so you used to play baseball.
Yes.
And you said in college.
Yeah.
So you were good.
Yeah. I wasn't great.
You played in college. That's legit.
I played community college and then started playing at Truman State.
Hey.
Went to college and then it was not worth it. So
what wasn't worth it about it? They get
the community college team was like way better for one.
interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people go to community college because they'll like play right away.
Mm.
And then they'll transfer into like a D1 school and then start playing rather than
Like you would start.
being a redshirt freshman or whatever and
Okay.
just grinding out. So they're a lot better at the community college. And then just got to Truman. It was like a lot less talented and just it's a grind.
Kind of disheartening.
Yeah, and it's like a full-time job. It's not fun. So I went with the join a fraternity and have fun route. And
Sure.
yeah, so
I get it. It's
I don't
like
have any regrets about it.
I played golf in high school. That was my sport.
Yes.
If you're gonna brag about baseball, I'll brag about my sweet golf career. I was like number 1 slot varsity golf as like second year in high school. Like I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Going places. Maybe I could get like a small college scholarship. I never played college, like you did. Yeah. But like that last year, like nerves got to me. I think at districts I shot like a 115.
I don't even know what that means.
It's so bad. Like a good round in like high school would be like
80?
late 70s, high 70s, low 80s would be like a solid round. And I shot like I shot like what the worst.
This happened in public.
This happened on
People
the
saw
biggest golf match of my life. It was like district senior year. Like, all right, we need you to post like a 76. And I posted
I'll do you one better.
A 115. So anyone who plays golf is that is so bad. I couldn't off the tee. I couldn't keep it in place. Like I had like a slice, and I'd slice it out, and you got to like very much play by the rules. I was hitting 3 off the tee, and then I do it again, and just like
what off the tee?
Like so if you hit it out of bounds,
Yeah.
off the tee, you have to re-tee it.
Okay, sure.
And it's not your second shot. Now you're hitting your third shot.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you do
compound.
So I did that like every other hole, and I just did terrible. Like the nerves got to me, and that's when I was like, I think in college I'm gonna double down on music, where it's like I can be nervous, but I can overcome it.
Did that affect you at all?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, did it mess with you at all? Or were you like, it's a bad day? I don't know.
No, it really bothered me, and I remember
that would be tough. To suck so bad.
It sucked so bad. My dad gave me like before that round a dozen Titleist Pro V1s, which like $3 a ball.
Yeah.
And he was so nice about it. He's like, don't even worry about losing them. He's like, just picture these are like a box of top flights, like average balls, just like
so
go
it's
out
his
there.
fault.
He's like, have fun. I'm like, thanks, Dad. Slice. but he was really cool about it. Like he gave me the right mindset. I got very much like in my head. But I remember on the ride home from that tournament, I was like, I'm gonna work on songwriting and not worry about getting nervous about golf.
Could have been good.
Could have been good. Still my favorite sport. Still love to play.
Yeah.
Just not
playing.
not competitively. Do you play golf?
I maybe once a year. That's a maybe.
Can you break
probably
115?
Wouldn't slow you. I don't know. I think so. I wouldn't hold you back, but I'm not going to win anything.
If you're not good at golf, the only thing you can do, or the best thing you can do,
I might help a scramble, like on
totally
a shot, couple shots.
The best thing you can do is just like play quick. Like no one cares how bad you are as long as you're not like slowing people down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Ready to play.
Exactly.
It's my nightmare.
We have a golf trip once a year. You should come and
like where?
We go to Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay.
At a golf course called Old Kinderhook.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a solid course. I think the good guys that
they go to New Kinderhook.
Yeah, they've been there before. It's a solid course. You can shoot 105, like, or 75, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we do teams, and it's super casual. We play Friday and Saturday. Skins. That's awesome. It's fun. It's like you play 18 holes, and we go back to like the clubhouse or whatever and have drinks and
down.
just.
When do you
dude,
go?
you would
Like
love
what
it.
time of year?
It's usually it's usually
The hottest.
the third week of September, but
Oh.
I booked the wedding, so now it's the second week of September.
Perfect.
my dad
Your
the
job.
first my dad the first year ever moved it back
Is it
or moved it up.
Do you have any? I feel like it would change. So I had a lot of, or I have a lot of guilt when I like book a wedding. I want to, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like I have a job,
Yeah, yeah.
and so then I book the wedding, and I'll have like so much guilt because I feel like it's a job and it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like there's a guilt because you enjoy doing it? Like it doesn't.
Like it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. But for you, especially now, it is work, and it's like I almost felt like I'd have some weird hang up at being like, I'm being selfish because I enjoy.
I like
doing
it too
this.
much.
Yeah.
No, it's I don't know. Again, I feel like I have a different perspective because I very much disliked my day job for so long. So now that I have a job that like it is weird. I'll tell Sarah like I have a job that I feel like I'm actually like good at and I like it. And it's like,
And they pay me money?
and I get paid for it. It gets weird. It's like I told her I was like, I'm happy.
It's weird. I
It's
don't
a
like
weird
this.
feeling, you know. Like it's like I had this thing in my head, like to make money, you have to be miserable.
Yeah.
You have to be like,
It's got to be a job.
It's got to be a job. It's got to be a grind. Like that's just life, you know. So to have this new, and I'm still like transitioning. It's still very fresh, but like where I'm like supporting my family, doing something like I wake up and I'm not dreading like opening a laptop or making a sales call, and like my days like talk to a couple people, like wedding couples, maybe like
go out for a long lunch.
go out for a lunch, go for a run, like write a music video a little bit and like edit for a few hours, and like that's my job, and have a podcast. Like this is my job. This is weird, you know. But yeah,
This is a tax write-off.
I was actually I googled today, can you write off alcohol?
And
Yes, but it's got to be like 100%. Like you can't do your business without it. So for me, no. It's part of the show, but I don't think it has to be.
yeah.
I don't own a bar, so I don't think I can. But maybe I don't know.
Going back to golf, I did watch. What is that Netflix documentary?
Full swing,
So good.
so good,
So good.
right?
They're like actual people. I bet that one and the Formula One and then the Wrexham, the soccer one is like phenomenal. I don't like Formula One and it's great.
Documentaries will like trick my brain to feel like I should be a race car driver. I can do it. You know, if it's done right, you
They're
get
just like me.
you get so inspired.
I actually do. I like it can't be that hard to drive a car.
I was watching a Jack Nicklaus documentary, who's the greatest golfer of all time, and I'm like, this was yesterday morning. I'm like, I should have tried harder at golf. I could have been somebody. So much regret. You know what I'm saying? It's like you look back on your life and you're like, I could have like doubled down on that or worked harder at this, and
Yeah.
it goes by so fast. And
I think I could have been a doctor. All my friends will laugh at that, but
are you for real?
I don't know. I was always book smart.
Baseball player.
I was always really book smart. I think if I tried, I never really tried in school.
You're book smart.
Yeah, and
No
it's like
kidding.
I knew I wanted to be a firefighter, so I was like, you know, my dad tells me like he got in so much trouble. Like when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
I had good grades and everything, and then for some reason he told me he's like, you know, like to be a firefighter, like you just need to get a degree, like and. You didn't even need a degree then. It would just
try
help.
less hard.
It used to be very competitive. Like when I interviewed, there was 300 applicants for like 3 spots, I think. So it used to be like really hard. So you didn't need a degree, but it definitely helped. And he's like, you just need a degree. You don't need it. And then just went from A's to like straight C's. And my mom was so mad. It was great.
You gotta love dads.
Yeah. Went all in on the fraternity.
Man, you had a lot of directions you could go. Baseball, doctor. Hey, if you're still watching this, thank you. Sidebar, my B camera died, so every shot of Chris Daly moving forward will be this photo. Sorry about that. This problem has now been fixed because I now have a bigger battery. So thank you for bearing with me with these growing pains, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Thanks.
I went
I hate to keep blowing smoke, but like if you were a doctor, just because I know you're probably a great paramedic, like you probably would have been good at that too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That bedside manner. You got cancer.
The older I get, because I always held doctors at a pedestal. the older I get, the more I realize, like, oh, they're just people
Yeah.
doing their best at their job.
That actually was.
And they're kind of just average.
There's bad doctors.
There's
like,
bad doctors.
That was very. I don't know. I was
Crazy.
the same thing. I always thought they were here, and then you
like this crazy smart, and they're
did
like,
all your internships with them, and you're like, ooh.
or like you just ask them a question, like off script, and they're like, oh, I'll come back Tuesday.
Or not in their specialty, like.
Oh my gosh.
You know, but like they're just people, so
They're just people doing their jobs.
I remember I got my EMT license when I was in community college, and then I went to Truman. I transferred there as a junior, and like I had no experience. I had my license, meaning I could get hired and work somewhere.
Right.
But so they had an equestrian team, and I've never been around farm animals. Really, that's not my thing. Weird segue, but it's not. But it sounds weird. And so this girl in our dorm, she was on the equestrian team, and I guess they have to have at all their shows, they have to have EMS standby, and whoever normally does couldn't, and they're like scrambling to find somebody to have this show. They're like,
Right.
well, Chris is an EMT, and like he can do it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Like I'm good. I got my license. So I showed up, and like I think they gave me a bag of like Band-Aids or something. Like I had nothing. And there's a whole thing, like when you work under medical control, like under a doctor's supervision, and there's a whole, cascading thing of liability and these horses were psychotic, dude. Like I've never been so terrified. Like a paper bag would blow by, and they would just launch these people in the air, and I'm like, there's gonna be someone like Christopher Reeves get paralyzed doing this, and I'm just like, oh no,
It's all your fault.
I was terrified.
They're gonna see
Nothing bad happened, but it was like they're getting bucked off left and right, and I was like,
Oh my gosh.
when you're like, this was a bad decision.
Right. A lot of directions you could take in life. Something I want this podcast to maybe be, it's like almost making it for like whether it's my kids or
Your 17-year-old self.
Yes, I was gonna say the exact same
Reference
thing. You
episode
watched
1.
my first 2 episodes. Like what advice? Like if that past younger version of you, it's like you said 37.
38.
38.
Soon
That's
to be
so
39.
old. Ew. Was watching now. Like what advice would you have for that younger version of you, or someone who wants to get in film and is balancing? Let's say they have a couple kids and they feel like they've missed the boat, and you're walking the walk and you're still doing it and you're still growing. Like what advice would you have for that person?
I feel, and I should listen to this advice. Think and research less and do more would be one. Like take action. Like I will. If you pulled up my YouTube account to see how many hours of videos I've watched, it's like pathetically sad. Like I will research and learn everything I can about something, but then I'll have these big grand ideas, and I won't act on them. And it's like it doesn't matter what you learn if you don't do anything with it. So one would just be like as a person further along who makes including myself, who's like it's past the time, or you can't just like do it now because you're not getting younger, and the best time to do it, that cliche is yesterday, and the second best time is today. But then just I don't know, be nice, be a good person. Like it's gotten me so far. I feel like just being friendly, and it gets you into and out of so many situations that like you don't even foresee. And so building those relationships, like I forget how Sam, your sister-in-law's, how I got in contact with her, but like not doing that, not being friendly with her, never would have met me to you or introduced me to you, and then never would have met so-and-so and XYZ, and it just all cascades from being nice. I don't know. That's what I would say. Wise words. But and then just maybe be a little more I'm trying to think of the right word, just like think about what you actually want to do in life and not just let life carry you along, because I feel like by no means am I regret what happened, but I never really took the time to be like, this is really what I want. It just kind of seemed like this is what is going to happen. And so taking a little more authority of your own life, I guess.
Solid. That's solid.
That's all right.
Dude, the fact that I feel like you were almost like laughing through some of it, but like if you write down those 3 main points, like execute, be nice, which I think is hugely overrated. Like just be a good person, like be genuine, be authentic. And then like the third one, which like I don't know how you feel, but like outsider looking in, it just looks like you're one of those people You have it all together. You got it figured out. Like, you're happy. Like, you're just, like you said, like, you're just riding the wave. But, like, what a good wave to ride. Yeah. Like, if you're just going with the flow, that's the way to do it. 2 solid jobs, wife, kids, happiness, like, kiss my ass. Like, so good. But, like, for real, it's just, like, execute. Be a good person. And then I think that third point's really, like, take time to meditate's the wrong word, but, like, take time to, like, self-reflect and just be like, is this what I want? Am I going down the right path? Is this where I want to go? And something that I keep hearing, it's like, you can have anything you want in 5 years. You just got to know what it is.
And reverse engineer it.
It, and just be intentional. So, like, yeah,
intentional. That was the stupid word I was trying to think of. The most obvious word ever.
That's solid, man. Like, I all throughout my 20s, all I wanted to do was, like, be a rock star, get that cliche record deal, and
travel the world.
Quit my corporate job, and I did it, And my wife would always ask me, like, well, like, what's the third option? I'm like, there's no third option. It's I'm a rock star or I die a businessman. And I never saw, like, video as an option.
Yeah.
And then meeting you.
Yeah, don't close doors.
Don't close doors. You don't even know. And then, like, God has a bigger picture for you, and if you're open to it and you work hard, like, I never saw my life going in this direction, and I couldn't, like, like, there's hard days, but, like, I couldn't be happier, or for the first time in my entire life, I feel like I'm supposed to be here.
That's good.
Which is huge, and not to get sappy, and I talked about it with Kevin, because he was, like, super instrumental in my creative pursuit, but, like, beyond him, and there's a couple other people I want to thank as well, but, like, you always brush it off, but from the bottom of my heart, when I thank you, like, for real, like for real, like, the way you just effortlessly showed me, like, training material or invited me onto my first few weddings, like, you were very instrumental in me doing this full time, so I just want to say thank you.
Well, I appreciate
100%.
It was just as much fun for me.
That's nice to hear. I'm glad I gave maybe some humor back or something.
I'm glad you kind of mentioned it there. I don't know if you meant to, and I don't mean to take it in a whole different direction either. But, like, one thing I feel like that's made me comfortable in life too lately has just been my faith, which has been a big thing.
I get nervous bringing it up.
Yeah.
So I'm
not good at bringing it up.
Please harp on it.
No, I just like, when I was growing up, I was never involved in religion or faith or anything really. And then when I got married, my wife Michelle was more into it and starting to explore. And I was kind of just like, I saw the utility in it, and I was like, yeah, it's good. It's like like-minded people, good values, and good morals, and we'll go to church. And I always saw, I guess, with my job, like, Christians specifically, I always kind of saw them as not weak.
There's some weird ones.
Oh, there's weird ones. There's weird people.
We can get a bad rep.
There's weird people in general. But yes. I always saw as, like, people who never really, and this is completely wrong, but, like, saw the dark side of life, or had nothing to.
I know what you're saying.
And with my job, it was hard for me to reconcile those two.
Sure.
And so kind of just.
You've seen, like, the ugly side of how ugly life can get.
Yeah, the comment, like, if God's so good, why is there bad?
Totally. Right.
And I just never saw anyone like me, I guess, involved in that. And then, so, I mean, we'd been married and we'd been going to church more and more, and it just kind of grew on me. But I met, like, one of my good friends. He's devout Christian, but he is ex-Navy SEAL. And then I have another guy who's an ex-MLB baseball player. And it's like these kind of dudes are, like, masculine dudes that I never really saw that reflected, especially the soldier. He sees a lot of bad stuff.
Sure.
And that was all kind of inspiring to me to say, oh, it's not just like, oh, life's great. Like life is expected to be bad at points, and it's okay with it being bad. I think that's like, we all want to revolve our life around what makes us good, and this is what we're meant to do, and this is what makes us happy. And it's not like that's all not noble, but good to go for.
Yeah.
But that's not how all life is. And just being okay with that is huge.
It's huge.
Like, and there's going to be hard times. Like,
you
got everything, or people might think you got everything going on.
Right.
There's hard stuff, whether it's happened already, happening now, or it's going to happen. And
it's, I think life, it sounds super sad, but I think life is pain, and it's how we deal with it. You know, like there's like you said, there's always gonna be something hard. You know, and if someone, it looks like they have it all together, or you think, oh, if I just had that record deal, or if I just had this, or if I just,
I mean, nothing will be good enough.
It's never the answer, and it's like it's how you cope with it, and it's how you handle it, and just try to. I'm always the least happy or the most like depressed, or my anxiety is the worst whenever I'm thinking, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
Whenever I'm like, if I wake up, I go, how do I feel today? That's when like my anxiety skyrockets or like the depression creeps in. Whenever I'm like, and I realize like, oh, for the past week and a half, I'm going me. But if I go out,
it's easy.
It's so easy. It's like, am I happy?
Alzheimer's like a drug.
Am I happy today? Am I doing like the best thing for me? It's like, oh, like, you know, I'll think about it, like I've been so me centric, and then if you just flip it and like, how are you? Mm-hmm. You know, how's your wife? How are the kids? And call your best friend. Hey, how are you doing? And you just reverse it. It's amazing how much better you feel. Not that you're doing to make yourself feel better, but like get your mind out of like your own self and push it on, you know, and just focus your energy on other people, and you immediately feel better. Because when you're all so self-centered, which
it's easy to do,
it's so easy
and
to
it's
do.
Easy like,
oh my gosh.
I mean, for me, like I love gadgets and I love buying new technology.
Stuff
like,
is so cool.
You're so excited about it, and. I mean, you're so excited about it, and you buy it, and you're so excited, and then you get it, and it's awesome, and then 12 hours later, you're like, hey, cool.
Or
all right,
even,
now I need this.
Yeah, I
it's all these worldly things that aren't going to last.
Right.
And
I touched about this briefly with my last podcast with Josh Fowler of Color Code about, like, goals. And it's like, you think, like, once you hit this goal, then you'll be happy. Or you get that piece of gear, and then you'll be happy. And then what happens once you hit that thing or do that thing? Then your life's amazing. I think you're happy for, at best, a day.
Yeah.
And then you start over, you know? So as cheesy as it sounds, again, the journey's better than the destination and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a fix per se. Like, I don't know if that's just innate human nature and you just have to recognize it and deal with it.
Yeah.
Or accept it.
I think it's stuff like this, like talking.
Just recognize it,
You know, like this helps me a ton. This is like what I wasn't expecting 3 episodes in to get this out of the podcast. But like talking to like a dad, someone who's getting after it, like this is hugely like, oh, like someone else is going through very similar like things.
We're the same person.
Yeah, it helps a ton, you know. And I think no matter if you're a successful person, whatever that vision of like the perfect you is versus like yourself, like I think everyone has bad days, obviously. Like no one's like the movie star who has everything they need, you know, like their life's not perfect. You know, maybe someone working at 7-Eleven, like they could be happier than X movie star or rock star or whatever.
Going back to the favelas.
Going back
like
to
they
the
were
cocktail.
Literally the happiest. But
what a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Let's end it right there. So
solid.
Whether you're a movie star or just having the national, we're going to call this the national cocktail of Brazil.
The official.
That's it. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely.
I had a blast. Cheers.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. All right. That's it, man. That it.
All
right. You're right. That's a wrap.
Nailed it. Man, it feels so weird. Must be like when they come back from space with